Thank you, sir. First of all, I would like to invite our Dr. H.L. Bajaj ji, Chairman of the Power Group, Indian Energy Forum, to deliver his welcome address for the subject webinar. Dr. H.L. Bajaj, sir, over to you.
Thank you. Mr. Shahi, our President of the Indian Energy Forum, Professor Sonde, who is Professor at the IIT Abu Dhabi, Professor Chandanian, who is Associate Professor in IIT Madras, dear colleagues from Indian Energy Forum and distinguished participants. On behalf of Indian Energy Forum, I am delighted to welcome you all to today's webinar on storage batteries with focus on iron-air batteries. As per National Electricity Plan 2023 of the Central Electricity Authority, the energy storage capacity requirement is expected to increase to 411 gigawatt hours in the year 31-32, which is further expected to increase fivefold to 2380 gigawatt hours due to addition of a large amount of renewable energy in light of the net zero emissions targets set for 2070. Out of this 2380 gigawatt hours, 1840 gigawatt hours is expected to come from battery energy storage systems. As you know, there are several energy storage technologies available broadly. In mechanical, we have pumped storage, compressed energy storage, and flywheel. In thermal, we have molten salt, chilled water, latent ice storage. In electrochemical, lead acid and lithium-ion batteries, flow batteries, vanadium, and zinc bromide. In electrical, we have supercapacitors and superconducting magnetic coil energy storage system. And in chemical, of course, the hydrogen storage system is well known to us. Iron-air batteries are emerging as a game-changing solution in the relentless pursuit of sustainable and efficient energy storage. Utilizing abundant and inexpensive materials like iron and air, these batteries offer a unique blend of cost, effectiveness, safety, and long duration storage. Each technology has its own application and limitations. To discuss these technologies, webinar on storage batteries with focus on iron air has been organized by Indian Energy Forum. We are all grateful to Professor Sonde and Professor Aravind Chandran, who will kindly explain these technologies to us. Once again, I welcome you all to today's webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bajaj, for your welcome address and broadly setting the context for this webinar. May I now request our President, Shri R.V. Shahi ji, for his presidential address. Over to Shahi Sahab.
Thank you, Mr. Satish Sharma ji, Mr. Bajaj, Dr. Sonde, Dr. Arvind Kumar, other distinguished dignitaries. We already have about 2 dozen people participating. This is a subject which is of great interest, but we started on time more or less. As we go along, there would be more participants joining the webinar. I think battery is an issue, and battery is a product, and battery is an innovation which is centuries old. And all of us have been using battery in various applications in industry. In almost all factories, they have batteries to take care of any eventuality. A battery we have with watches, battery we have with our every system. We have been used to this. Why it has assumed a great dimension now on global basis and more so on India basis. And that is because of the climate change concerns, and all the countries, and more particularly India, because of its size and because of size of energy expansion that we have planned. One way that is helping us in carbon emission challenge, that we go in big way for solar. We have agenda for 500 gigawatt of renewable, mostly solar by 2030. That is one, and then that will go on. India's potential for solar capacity, solar project development is huge. So it will go 500 gigawatts, 700 gigawatts, 1,000 gigawatts, like that. And this is a huge relief from carbon emission, and also from the point of view of variable cost. Of course, it has some associated financial burden, no doubt about it, but then you don't have the hassle of coal or gas to be burnt, and without ignoring the need for continued generation and continued maybe a modest growth of even coal sector. India's demands are going to be so huge, because in terms of our ranking on power and our ranking, therefore, also on our per capita income, we have a long way to go. Central City Authority has projected right up to 2047, and that is a very, very great projection. And perhaps I am of the view that projection may have to be further increased if we really want to catch up, and we want to make up for the gaps that got created over the last many, many decades in our per capita electricity consumption. So it will go on. The first is that we have huge solar capacity already there in place now, and it is increasing. And in the evening, solar is not available. So you need to do something. So there is one definite reason, and it has come out now. At this capacity of solar also, we have another challenge, that solar during the daytime, at this capacity also, we have to ask them not to generate, because transmission system has and perhaps cannot pick up at the same speed as the solar capacity development happens. So therefore, we need to preserve what we are not producing. We need to preserve. So if you have battery, and therefore you can charge the battery and use the energy when you need. So one challenge is to take care of this stranded capacity during daytime, and the extent of stranded capacity is going to go on increasing as our capacity increases, because the gap between the requirement of transmission and the transmission availability, transmission infrastructure availability, will always be there. We can't totally avoid it, because gestation period of transmission is much longer, and gestation period of solar power project development is very short, maybe 8 months, maybe maximum 1 year. Another reason is the variation in generation, variation in load itself. We can't predict all the types of variations that are happening. New loads coming up, rural loads are coming up in a big way. Rural India is going to consume electricity in a significant way now. Industrialization is going to consume electricity. So therefore, variations in load, predictable, workable, but then we can't be very accurate in that. Generation centers are different and consumption centers are different. Take, for example, our Gujarat area, Khavda area, and Jaisalmer area in Rajasthan. These are the main generation center for solar. And we have consumption centers, not so much in these areas, and therefore we have to send there. And it is there where transmission system and the lag in transmission system is causing a requirement of energy that can be produced, power that can be produced from solar, but that need to be stored. So applications, the needs are enormous and they are going to be there. All these things are predictable. It is not that it is not known. It has not been known. But somehow, inevitably in our system, in Indian system particularly, when the crisis at the door, exactly when we see the crisis, then our response becomes more active, very active. Already a large number of battery energy storage systems are happening now. It has started happening. Adanis have already gone to some extent in this, in Kavda. Others are going. And this is mass scale import of lithium-based battery. So mass scale import. And it will continue. Though the satisfying factor is that we do not have lithium to the extent that would be needed. But then lithium is there available internationally, and there is some degree of competition. So one can feel to some extent, reduce the discomfort for import, that global competition will keep the price under some discipline. One is not sure. But our dependence on lithium import will continue. And that's happening. There are plans by these big generating companies, including Adani, to set up huge battery factory. So that the present speed of import and the extent of import is reduced. Now, this new technology, we discussed about lithium. We were not discussing battery as the real standby. Only a couple of years back, we were talking of hydrogen. Dr. Sonde is there. I think 2 years or 3 years back, right in our forum, we had a very extensive and acceleration on hydrogen and whatever hydrogen can help us in this energy management system. And that time battery was not in the race. Battery cost was excessive. It is understood that battery cost has drastically reduced and can reduce further. And therefore, it is coming as a reasonable standby. In case of India, these type of demands are going to be so huge. It is difficult to say that whether we should choose this or we should choose that. It looks like we need hydrogen also. It looks like we need concentrated solar power also, CSP also. We need battery also. We need pump storage. Take, for example, pump storage. The potential for pump storage is of the order of 250 gigawatt, and pump storage scheme is being supported, and it has merit to be supported because we don't have to depend on import in this case. So I think India will not have this or that or that. I think we will have to have a mix of pump storage. We will have wind as itself as a backup in the evening. Wind turbine is also going in a big way. We'll have concentrated solar. There is a case that it can happen. Concentrated solar again is not a new technology. It was there, but was not affordable at certain point of time because input power cost was high. Input power, maybe today you have already started seeing that if we are standing the capacity, almost for free you will get solar power, or at a very nominal price you will get solar power. That has made all the difference in the charging of the system or running of the pumps for turbine generated in pump storage. So therefore, we need to be open. We should definitely evaluate the relative merit and demerits of every system. But it looks to me that lithium battery will already it has arrived. Iron air battery, which is today's subject, we will need to be, at least I will need to be educated a little more. Little bit that I have been able to lay hand on, that it is comparatively less costly. That is one. Its applications are for certain situations where lithium battery may not be aptly okay, but there will be other applications because applications of battery in Indian context are going to be numerous. So that is another thing. But then I've also come to understand that at this stage, in certain countries, particularly in China, iron air battery is still, it has not taken off the way it has taken off in case of lithium battery. That is not to say that this is not a viable option. So the more we will like to learn from Dr. Sondi and Arvind, who are presenting the detailed analysis and their work. Also, we like to know where we are. Unfortunately, in most of the cases, our system is such: industry interface with academia, industrial interface with government, industry interface for R&D. That has been so sort of disconnected, not very orderly, in an orderly manner connected. So that means we always get timed off and we keep waiting for China to give something, from somebody else to give something. But I'm very happy and I feel proud that IIT Delhi and other IITs and many other institutions and researchers like Dr. Sonde and others, they have been striving, working hard, trying to explore what all can be done. I'm not very sure that our response, our industry response has been so enthusiastic. It is needed. It is needed so that someday we can say that this is it, this is it. We have brought it to a level, prototype to commercial, to viable options. Viability, India's demand always gives comfort for viability. The demand is so huge that if technology has come to some level, there is no reason why it will not be viable because of the size of the demand in almost every case. So if there are gaps, we need to analyze. So one is the academic and research aspect of it. Another is the management aspect of it. In both these areas, there have to be a forward movement, and I'm sure there will be forward movement. Demand from the country is there, because we cannot afford to be so much dependent on petroleum fuel. So the whole energy mix of India is undergoing to change in next 5-10 years at a very fast speed. That will provide additional opportunity for technology like this. So with these few suggestions, with these few comments, I would now like to listen to the very great scholarly presentations from the eminent scientists and engineers. Thank you.
Thank you for waiting.
Thank you, sir, for your most insightful views. You have been always a source of inspiration for all of us.
Seated for the moment.
And we thank you for your leadership during the presidential address. Thank you, sir, once again. Now, I would like to invite Dr. R.R. Sondeji, Professor, IIT Delhi, Abu Dhabi, for his keynote address. And before I hand over to Dr. Sonde, those who do not know Mr. Sonde, I would like to briefly tell about his career growth and his CV. Dr. Ramakrishna Ramanath Sonde is a highly distinguished Indian scientist, academic and technology leader. He is widely recognized for his pioneering contributions to the nuclear energy, clean tech corporate leadership, and green hydrogen policy across India. His academic roles has been, he presently is a senior professor emeritus at Goa campus, BITS Pilani. He is a IIT Delhi Abu Dhabi founding faculty member and professor. And he also serves as visiting guest professor at IIT Gandhinagar, IIT Jodhpur, IIT Roorkee, and IIT Jammu. He earned his PhD in chemical engineering from IIT Bombay.
On behalf of
Corporate leadership and public sector career has also been at the helm. Thermax Limited, he served as Executive Vice President and Chief Technology Officer for Research, Technology and Innovation. In NTPC, he served as Executive Director where he headed the R&D and Energy Technologies Center at Atomic Energy Commission. He spent more than 22 years with the Heavy Water Board as an outstanding scientist, starting his career at Bhabha Atomic Research Center. Under the National Advisory and Committee roles in Niti Aayog, he is appointed chairman of the task force on methanol and serves on the Apex Committee on Methanol Economy, the Hydrogen Valley Advisory Board member and chair of Jodhpur Hydrogen Valley Project. Under the government programs, chaired the Department of Science and Technology program on carbon capture, utilization, and storage, that is CCUS. And he has the fellowships, elected fellow of the prestigious Indian National Academy of Engineering.
Flight 762.
His key awards and achievements have been,
Thank you
he
for
has been
waiting.
awarded Dr. Homi Bhabha Gold Medal by the Prime Minister of India for his landmark contributions to the nuclear energy. He has been conferred in the gas sector
On behalf of
Energy and Environment Foundation for Global Excellence Award 2019. He holds over 25 patents, primarily focused on clean energy, biomass to energy conservation, and environmental technologies. So with this, I hand over to Dr. R. Sonde. Now, he is a well-known person amongst our webinar.
Thank you very much, sir. I don't know whether I'm audible to all of you. I'm in a public place. I'm at the airport, so there's a lot of announcements which are going. Extremely bad of me to be having done this, but then I must apologize to Bajaj Saab. He said you take it from wherever you are. I hope I'm audible to all of you. Bajaj Saab, am I audible to all of you?
Sure.
Yes, Sunday, sir. Perfect.
Thank you so
perfect.
much. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Thank you so much. So distinguished panel, my honorable, respected Shahi Saab, Bajaj Saab, and all of you. I think the topic would not have come at the more appropriate time than we are talking about it. We are talking about battery not as a storage, but battery as a India's energy security. Because given the current West Asia disturbances and the turbulence that India is going to face, I think if you want to realize the full potential of renewable energy, battery, unless we go for a storage, I'm not talking about battery alone, energy storage, I don't think we can solve this equation. Today, the problem of the grid fluctuations, the problem of the frequencies, and the problem that we are facing because of the backing down of the coal thermal power plant or a nuclear power plant, which are not really the right way to do the backing down, because we don't have a flexible grid. We have got a great grid, we have got a great connectivity, we have got a great this thing, but the kind of instability that we are seeing it is making us that we are not able to fully realize that 150 gigawatts, we have actually installed 150 gigawatt. I can't believe myself that in just about the last 8 years, the kind of ramp up that has happened in the renewable energy. But when you compare it, is this particular capacity is realized? You find that no, because we are backing down. In fact, in some places we have done the analysis that the carbon dioxide emissions have gone up because you're operating your thermal power plant at a lower efficiency, and you are also stalling or you are backing down the solar power plant. And because of the dynamics of a renewable energy plant, the ramping up frequency is very different compared to what is happening in a coal thermal power plant or a base load power plant. And therefore, it has become extremely essential that the storage becomes a centerpiece for our grid stability and for our energy security. I think what I'm saying is probably obvious to all of you. But the challenge is, what is the solution? Because again, we as scientists, because we have done something, we become really so much enveloped by our discovery. We want to say, in fact, when Bajaj Saab told me iron air, I said, Bajaj Saab, you are calling it as a game changing, but it is too early. We are calling many discoveries as a game changing. About 4 years back, aluminum air came, and we said it's a game changing. And then we now know that no, aluminum air is not game changing. Similarly, we now call about metal air, or zinc air, or iron air. Yes, I find that they are very powerful, but to call it as a game changing, I was having a debate with Bajaj Saab saying that it is too early because we have to really examine the problem at its core. Now, when I talk about the core, the problem is one, grid stability, Very clearly, we need a stable grid, and there maybe battery is a solution. But that is only for a short time. You can't expect a lithium ion, even if for a example, we have got lithium, we have got plenty of lithium, or is available, or Jammu and Kashmir, wherever lithium is available. I don't think that lithium ion or a lithium LFP, the iron phosphate batteries, are the solution. That is okay for a grid stability, for any kind of a second variations grid, because of the ramp up and the dynamics that is available, they work very well. But I would like to caution to all of you that battery or a lithium is not a solution when you want to go for a 2 to 4 hours, when you want to go for a 8 to 24 hours, when you go for 24 to 100 hours, whenever there's a midday changes, whenever there's a seasonal change, because India is such a complex tropical region, cloud covers are there, monsoon is there, there is a whole lot of climatic conditions. So I would like to just tell that battery is not the solution, and there are many solutions which are to be explored. India, as Shaisa absolutely put it on dot, we don't have a single silver bullet for our solutions. We have to embrace all those solutions. This is not battery or cannot, battery or pumped storage. We need battery, we need pumped storage, we need compressor storage. We need many solutions. And I feel that iron air is also one of those solutions. I'm sure Arvind is going to talk about it, because battery solution, selecting a storage is a very complex 8-parameter optimization. I'm not even making a presentation, but it's a 8-parameter optimization. You try to maximize the energy, life gets a beating. If you try to maximize the life, then you get into a safety problem. If you try to optimize the safety, cost gets into difficulty. If you try to do a cost, then there's another problem that you engage into the footprints or the gravimetric density. So when you put all these 6 or 8 parameters and try to optimize, a single solution will never work. So that is one message that I want to give it to such a distinguished gathering, that let us not kind of say that, oh, this is one thing which is there, now this is a panacea for everything. According to me, I made 6 different solutions for India. I'll just give this particular thing as a part of my keynote address. Number 1, for the frequency control and the ramping, you want to quickly ramp, and a frequency control, which is very important. I'm dealing a hydrogen valley. I'm a chairman of a hydrogen valley in Rajasthan, and I know the problem that we're facing there because of the excessive renewable energy. And many times, many of the solar plants have been stalled or have been stopped operating, or even the nuclear power plants or the thermal power plants have been backed down. So for that, the frequency control, because grid is very stable, the stability of the grid is sacrosanct. And quick ramping, I would say that from a second to 1 hour, the best is lithium ion or a flywheel. So very clear. I don't think there's any argument there that it is a lithium ion, essentially LFP. They not NMM or the other cathode chemistry, but LFP chemistry works very well for a 1 second to for a few seconds to 1 hour. So that is the space that it can operate, and therefore even people like renewable energy or whatever people are carrying a mobile, a truck-mounted lithium-ion based system. I'm also working on a sodium sulfur, because we feel that if you want to replace lithium, if it is a lithium is going to be a critical mineral, and as our honorable Prime Minister is so much concerned and justifiable. So I really appreciate that they are realizing that India, when you say energy security, it's not only the kilowatt hours, but the materials which go into that. So sodium sulfur, sodium air batteries are very critical, because then you can remove all those critical minerals like lithium, cobalt, nickel, and graphite. So sodium becomes an important aspect, and I have a patent. I have got a startup on sodium sulfur, and I'm not promoting sodium sulfur as the only solution, but one good solution for a grid level storage for ramping up the electricity. Now, evening solar shifting. Now you have got solar in the morning, evening is the peak, because of the duck behavior of the grid. You all know the duck behavior of the grid. What is better? So evening shifting, according to me, pumped hydro. That is the best thing for the evening shift. That the second zone there, rather than lithium NMC, lithium LFP is also a good selection when we talk about 2 to 6 hours. 2 to 6 hours it will be very good for a evening solar shifting or a shifting of a renewable energy for 2 to 6 hours. The best option is pumped hydro. Overnight and monsoon variability, that is from 6 to 24 hours. For India, the best is pumped hydro, flow batteries. Now, we don't talk about the flow batteries. I really feel that flow batteries are very important because they disconnect between kilowatt hours and kilowatt. Now, again, for this audience, I don't think I have to explain the difference between kilowatt hours as stored as energy and kilowatts, which is required. I mean, in case of battery, when I say that maximum energy storage is 200 watt hours per kg, the kilowatts it can generate, you can't go for a C2 or C3. Of course, LFP can go for a 2C or a 3C or a 4C kind of a discharge rate. So you can get 1 kilowatt or a 10 kilowatts also from the same battery for a 1/10 of the time. But, it sucks the life out of it. So if you're talking about it, according to me, I will vote for a flow battery. Again, there could be iron flow batteries. There could be vanadium flow batteries. There could be bromine flow batteries. In fact, iron flow battery, because you have to only store it as an energy in the electrolyte, catholyte or anolyte, and then you can have a flow battery system. So you can completely delink the storage with respect to the power. So the third category, which I'm saying India should use, is the overnight and a monsoon variability. Then multi-day RE drought. So if there is a large number of days, RE is not available, solar is not available, wind is not available, and you have to store, you need energy for 24 hours to 100 hours, that means 4 days. Then the best option is hydrogen or iron air. This is a sweet spot for a iron air batteries when you are talking about a multi-day renewable energy drought, multi-day renewable energy drought. That becomes very good. Here there are many competitions. My favorite would still remain as hydrogen, or maybe the thermal storage, Carnot batteries, or if you can go for a compressed air energy storage using both the expander and the compressor as a storage option, which is for 24 to 100 hours. And the final holy grail is a seasonal balancing. So if India has to balance seasonal, because we have got monsoons and we have got a large number, you can see in Delhi what happens in case of the winter because of so much of a fog, and various seasonal storage for 3 months, 2 months is required. The golden molecule, I'm not saying just because I'm working on this, is ammonia or methanol or metal hydride or hydrogen, and any form of hydrogen where we talk about this, or of course the hydro reservoirs, but that's a huge challenge. So I would kind of divide this into these 5 categories, and probably for our country, as diverse as we are talking about it, from the lithium ion, which is required for a few seconds to maybe maximum 60 seconds or 1 hour. I mean, sorry, 1 hour. We will look at the 4 months storage hydrogen, where iron air battery will be required for a kind of a multi-day renewable energy drought kind of a thing. So I think just to conclude my talk on this particular thing, I really feel that for India, we are at the right time, and as Shai Sahab mentioned it so well, that we have become kind of a dependent on the imported technologies for many things. India has got enough intellectual capital that is available, and we should use that to maximize the technology development in energy storage. Because if you don't have energy storage, I don't think we can say that we can secure the India's energy fully, because even when we say that today we have got 150 gigawatts of solar or wind put together, we don't have an equivalent amount of energy coming, and because of this lack of the grid scale energy storage. I'm not talking about the storage that is required at the EV level or a e-mobility level or a electronic level or a residential level. I'm talking about the grid scale level, where we are talking about the gigawatt hour storage batteries. My take to this August audience is that we need to have all the options, going from a BESS, which is currently favorable, and the pumped energy. These are the 2 candidates that are available to India. we need to really go for another 3 candidates. One is, of course, the flow batteries. Number 2 is the compressed air energy storage that is required. Number 3 is, of course, the metal air, what Arvind is going to talk about, zinc air or a where it is rechargeable. And then the last one is hydrogen batteries. So that is what I would sum it up. Now, coming to iron air. Iron air is excellent because you are using iron and you can recharge it, unlike the aluminum. The hype on the aluminum died because of the fact that you could use aluminum, but the aluminum is getting consumed. And to generate aluminum from a bauxite plant, I only know because I work for Bits Pilani and I work for Hindalco, and the kind of energy goes in generating iron, I think whatever energy that it can deliver is far less than whatever energy is required. I knew from day one, though, there was a hype on aluminum air as a game-changing batteries. Iron air is good because iron air is rechargeable. But the problem there, I'm sure Arvind is going to talk about it, which I want to kind of alert to this audience, is that, you are rusting it. So you are creating a rust, and then there's an oxygen evaluation reaction, oxygen reduction reactions. So there's an electrolyte, there's a cathode, and that difficulty in managing a cathode, and the storage is maybe 1/10 of lithium ion. Lithium ion, we are talking about 200 watt hours. Hydrogen is 33,000 watt hours. So the energy storage in iron air could be 20 to 30 watt hours per kg. So you need a huge footprint for storing it. But if you want to make a matrix and put that particular spider web chart, I still feel that ranking wise, compared to the other batteries, aluminum air or zinc air is also very important. These metal air batteries we can do. Theoretically, they can give 1,200 watt hours, but in actual practices, they drop down to 1% or 5% of their theoretical capacity because of many other membranes and electrolytes and other over potential charges. I'm not getting the science part of it. I'm sure Arvind is going to take care of it. So once again, I'm very happy that we are having this topic at a time when India is struggling. The LPG crisis that we are talking about, the residential food, residential thing requirement. There are many of these things are now making us very clear that India has to create its own solution. We cannot just mimic what is happening outside and develop a multi-fold solution for meeting the requirement from a grid stability point of view, to a seasonal storage of energy point of view. And that is where I would suggest that this 5-pronged strategy would be the best for this thing. I thank Dr. Bajaj, Shahi sir, for giving me this opportunity. And I'm sorry for this kind of a disturbance that I'm delivering it in a public place. Sorry for that, but have a great day to all of you. If there are any questions, I'm ready to answer, but I may have to drop it in another 15 minutes. I may not be able to wait for Arvind's presentation. I know he's an excellent person. He works with me on hydrogen, and I'm sure he will deliver more details about iron air batteries. I just wanted to kind of bring a little caution to all of us that India needs multiple solutions, and iron air is one of them. I still would bet for the flow batteries and hydrogen and compressed air storage as a seasonal long-term storage. I stop here. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, Bajaj sir, for honoring me with this kind of a thing. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sonde sir. It has been a very detailed address by you, and you have elaborated and covered the multifaceted solutions for the battery storage systems, and elaborating on the various aspects. You have gone from multi-day RE drop to the seasonal balance, and ultimately to the iron air batteries, which of course requires a lot of space, as you are telling. And we would see that how now Professor Arvindji would further elaborate his presentations, and then finally we'll come to the any questions and answers are there. And meanwhile, thank you very much, Dr. Sonde, and we are grateful to you. You have elaborated it at an airport and giving us the opportunity and time for that purpose. So may I now
Only 1 minute. Thank you, Shamaji. Thank you so much. Arvind, I may not be able to remain for the next year call. I'll talk to you later, but all the best to you. I'm sure you are going to bring all these details to the August audience. Bajaj Saab, thank you very much. I'll talk to you once I reach Delhi. Thank you very much. Shahi Saab, thank you very much once again, and all my people. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
May I now request Professor Arvind Chandran ji? I mean, he is from the Department of Chemical Engineering, IIT Chennai, IIT Madras. I think it is now IIT Chennai. And I will slightly dwell on his brief biography, which I have been able to elaborate on this. Mr. Arvind Kumar Chandrian is an associate professor at the Department of Chemical Engineering, IIT Chennai, and heads the Hyundai HTWO Innovation Center. This is a COE in hydrogen at IIT Chennai. His group is working on various aspects of solar energy storage and conversion, including green hydrogen, photoelectrochemistry, metal air batteries, and lithium ion battery operational safety. His work covers all the way from atomic level tuning of materials and device physics to prototyping of products. His team works quite closely with both the government agencies and industries to solve energy-related problems. Some of their flagship research outcomes include: 1, the kWh scale mechanically rechargeable zinc air batteries; 2, indigenously developed battery safety analysis station; and 3, renewable microgrids using various energy storage devices, including lithium ion batteries and green hydrogen. Now over to Professor Arvind ji.
Satish ji, many thanks and very good morning. Let me project it. First of all, my sincere thanks to Bajaj ji for having me here. It was a power-packed discussion, starting with Bajaj ji, then Shahi ji, and also Sonde sir. I find it very difficult always to give a talk after Sonde sir, because he brings in so much of energy to the whole thing, and matching anything to his level is very, very difficult. But sirs, please bear with me if that energy level that we have seen with Dr. Sonde doesn't reflect in me as I go along in the presentation. Yeah. So let me start with something, the topic that's discussed about energy storage as a key issue. Although I've been asked to give a specific talk on iron ore, but I want to slightly delve a bit deeper and then give a different perspective on what are the possible elements can consider to store the energy. And so I have taken iron, zinc, and aluminum as three major sources. Of course, we know what is a duct is, and we are going to see essentially the varying profile of the duct profile that we typically see in a morning, 12 to 12, and how we can solve this duct issue, like essentially the variation in the renewables. Before getting onto it, I would like to just quickly share about what we exactly do at IIT Madras. So at IIT Madras, we work on photo and electrochemical energy systems. And one of the major areas is we work on water splitting, essentially to generate hydrogen. And then a small portion of our research is around carbon dioxide conversion to value-added fuels. These are at a very early stage and nowhere to be talked about anything commercial, and quite a bit on the battery side. So those are three major areas. And within the research, what we also do is we work at different technology readiness levels. Let me start with the one on the right side. Like with very low TRLs, this is mostly the curiosity-driven fundamental research, where we work on how the polarization in a catalyst can enhance the performance. It can be in a battery, it can be in a hydrogen system, or it can be in a sensor or anything. And at a mid TRLs, like between 3 and 4, where there are no fundamental problems, but there are engineering problems, we have a very strong presence in zinc air battery, battery thermal runaway, and also iron oxide electrolysis. I think these are the two topics that I'm going to connect today, essentially what we work at the mid TRL. And at a very high TRL, we work on microgrids. For example, the building building that I'm sitting here in chemical engineering is taken off grid. It is powered partially by lithium-ion batteries and partially by hydrogen. And we also have another large microgrid, which I'll talk about as we go along. No, so like I'll also like to show some of the Sondi sir has like really given us like a fantastic talk, and then he discussed about a lot of options available to store the energy. One of the early stage products that we have developed is zinc air battery. Of course, it doesn't look quite beautiful right in here. So in fact, we have developed 2.6 kilowatt hour zinc air battery module, and this is one of our deep tech products that we developed, essentially all the way from materials to the complete devices. And in terms of battery safety, almost a lot of four-wheeler electric vehicle companies have worked with us in understanding what causes lithium-ion battery fire or lithium-ion battery safety. In fact, we developed full-fledged explosion rigs to literally mimic the use of the lithium-ion cells in the real life and push them to the limits and understand the explosion properties. We have like India's most sophisticated battery forensics and explosion lab, and we work with almost all the major four-wheeler OEMs in understanding their batteries that are going into their vehicles. And we also work on the electrolysis product, essentially iron oxide electrolysis, which is a part of one portion of the iron air batteries team. So that is something that we work on. I talked about microgrids. This is this building, which is running on like both lithium-ion batteries as well as on the hydrogen side. So there is another microgrid. By the way, IIT Madras has 3 campuses in Tamil Nadu. Essentially, one is the Adyar campus, which we all know. The second is 35 kilometers south of this campus, which is a 220 acres campus with 160 acres usable land for labs. So there, a large pilot projects go. Third one is in Auroville, interfacing Tamil Nadu and Pondicherry. So in that second campus, we have built half a megawatt hydrogen microgrid. Although I say hydrogen microgrid.
Acha, okay.
Yeah. Although I talked about hydrogen, it also has a battery component associated with it. This entire setup is to mimic the future of India's grid activity. And yes, sir.
Don't worry.
Yeah. So I'll continue now. So essentially bring the entire future of India's grid in the lab. So that's why we don't work on a tabletop, rather we worked on a half a megawatt hydrogen microgrid. This is a combination of gas turbine, battery, fuel cells, everything. So it's a very customized product that we have developed, and it is under testing. We built it in partnership with Yokogawa for their requirements. So literally, for example, India's future grid thing, anything that grid schedulers put it, and then the power dispatchers have to dispatch the power. So essentially, we can do the entire thing, whatever the grid is doing in our lab here. So that is what we have built. So this is fully operational now in our other campus. Essentially, the role of this one is to how to manage the energy between generation to the utilization side. And that is something neatly highlighted by Sahi Saab as well as Sondi sir, about there's a disparity between what we generate and disparity and then the consumption that leads to all sorts of problems. And there were also problem raised that because of this, we had to curtail a lot of power. And so to understand all these things in the laboratory, we built the specific microgrid, very customized microgrid for all R&D purposes, but at a megawatt scale. We also work on safety analysis and standards. I skipped this part. Our lab typically work with a lot of industries. You could say some of my partners are listed here. In fact, we work on a lot of industry problems. This is a small list of my partners whom we are working with now. Now, I'll go to the actual problem, sun and wind intermittency. I think there was a discussion about storing for hours, right? And I also have a problem like there is a problem that we have to store it even in months actually because of seasonal variations. We just need a simple understanding, for even an academic type look. Today we are consuming around 2,000 terawatt hour in total as an electricity, including all forms of energy that is converting into electricity. And of course, we've taken some projections either from VTI or any other projections, and we saw there is around 4.5% increase, average increase over next 25 years. and that leads to around 6,000 terawatt hour requirement. And India has another side an ambition of converting like literally all the electricity from the fossil to the renewables, and even assuming that by 2047, which I personally believe an important year, 100 years from our independence. If we have to if we generate, let's say, 3,000 terawatt hour by renewables, you have taken a very, very modest number, considering 6,000 terawatt hour requirement. Even if we have to go for half direct use, essentially, while it is generating, we use, while it is generating, we have to store half of it. The requirement comes to around 4.1 terawatt hour by 2047. This is humongous. We are talking about significantly large number. Essentially, the world has to make batteries if we just rely on batteries for this whole thing. And I kind of like second the thoughts of Sonde sir on we have to rely on multiple energy storage devices because you're talking about humongous energy requirements, storage requirements. Right, and that's where just showing the lithium-ion battery thing. People like 2030, Europe, for example, aimed around 7 terawatt hour production, but and it doesn't look like it's going there in European side. But the problem is that we have to literally bring in all the batteries to India and in order to really meet our requirements. So I'm going to set a context on this. I lived through this entire issue since this building is powered by the microgrids. I'm going to show some set of data and then come to the metal air component. So this is one corridor data of our microgrid. It's in June 2024. So our requirement is around 15 to 20 kilowatt hour per day for that corridor. And you could see the generation is somewhere around 15 to 20. And the blue one that you could see is stored and used. During the daytime, all the red lines that you could see are the direct use component in the month of June, all the way from day 1 to day 30. So we were roughly consuming around 5 kilowatt hour directly, and around 10 to 12 kilowatt hour stored and used for the night time. Now, when I went from June to October, what happened in my microgrid is essentially the average generation come down. You could see that the average, the peak is like around 16 instead of 20 or 25, like in June. And especially I want to point your attention to this last 3 days in October, where I zoomed it here. It was a complete cloud cover. And I had to shut the building power down for the specific corridor. In fact, the entire building down and connect it to the main supply, because my battery in the microgrid is designed for 18 hours maximum storage, and it cannot work beyond that. It's a microgrid. It's not connected to the institute supply, where I can switch over between the two, but not use both of them in parallel. So this really made us to realize, we did a lot of analysis, and we found out there is a huge curtailment that's happening between summer to winter season. Whereas the month of April, May, June, we are curtailing around 20% of energy in our microgrid. Whereas in winter season, we are deficit of energy more than 20-30%. That really led us to a serious thinking. India will eventually face this problem. And so we really ought to look at the long duration energy storage. That's where all these technology on metal air, hydrogen, everything comes into the play. So this is some analysis that we have done for all states in the country, but I'm showing the data for Tamil Nadu and Gujarat. So Tamil Nadu, for example, we just extrapolated data. I just want to say that is the total power requirement is given in, that's a normalized data given in black. Now, imagine if I'm going to go to a case scenario of 90% solar that I'll use and 10% wind that I'll use for Tamil Nadu's requirement with its own solar and wind. We did not do the cross state thing. I'm just looking at the in-house in-state generation and then in-state consumption. If I install 90 and 10, you could see that there is in the months between January to April, the green is excess. Whereas if I have to rely completely on renewables, the brown one that we see is a deficit that we will face. Assuming that to go completely renewables. This is a complete solar data as well as wind data that you have taken. It is not based on solar panel data, but then solar energy availability and wind energy availability in the state of Tamil Nadu. So this gives really, and same thing with the Gujarat as well. You could see there is an excess that you could generate in the first 3-4 months, and then also in the month of September. But then there is a deficit here. in certain months. This really leads to fundamental problem of the seasonal storage, which we really are not looking at as of now, which ideally has to be taken as a serious problem statement, especially from the academic side. We have to really see what's coming 5 to 10 years down the line. So within a day, we saw that duck issue that's coming in, and so depending on how we use it, some states have a lower consumption during the midday, some having like almost flat consumption during the day, right? So assuming that the lower consumption during the day, and then sun is generating quite a lot, we need to really store all those energy within day as well, and that's where this entire duck story is all coming in. And we also strongly believe this entire intra-day storage and inter-day storage, essentially seasonal, requires some like multiple options. One is obviously hydrogen. Second is solids, which typically we don't talk about, but I'll be talking about it today. India is not at all talking about it, but I think this is the biggest asset I feel that we have, that we really have to work on. Batteries, obvious. Pumped hydro, which is very important, and molten salt. We also talked about storing in the form of thermal energy, which Sonde sir has mentioned about. Especially when you want to go for long duration, I'm going to literally remove these two and then use only the three options. Especially when you go for long duration energy storage. When I say long duration, my terminology is in several days to several weeks to several months. So that's where all these new things coming in. I want to give a comparison. We all talk about, will hydrogen go? Will any other metals go? Like now I'm going to give a comparison. Typically, if you want to generate 1 kg of hydrogen, it is like it consumes somewhere between 55 kilowatt hour. And when I burn that hydrogen, I'll get 17 kilowatt hour. So turnaround efficiency is 30%. This is a point that Sonde sir has brought up also. Aluminum, when we convert to aluminum oxide, then from bauxite back to aluminum, it's a huge energy conversion. So turnaround efficiency is very important. What I'm putting in and what I'm getting back. So hydrogen definitely gives today's technology around 30%, right? So I understand that I use some numbers, and 59 liters, I can store 1 kg at 250 bar. You assume if I use the same 59 liters, how much of energy I can store, assuming certain numbers. So zinc, for example, I can store, if I take a zinc bar, I store 59 liters of zinc, I'll have an energy of roughly 379 kilowatt hour, assuming a turnaround efficiency of 40%, literally. Then if it is iron, we can get around 501 kilowatt hour, which is quite high. Aluminum is even higher, 712. But I would also like to bring your attention to some numbers that's written right here. When I want to convert zinc oxide to zinc, and then zinc I burn and then get the energy back, I'll only get 40% of energy. Whereas with aluminum, it's less than 10%. So obviously it's not interesting. Iron ore, it is at a very nascent stage to really come to this number. My numbers vary somewhere between 5 and 20% actually, depending on the research article, not on the pilot products. So that is where the iron stands today. But should we finalize only one thing right away? The answer is definitely no. Zinc, obviously, India is the 4th largest producer. Iron, 4th largest producer. Aluminum, 2nd largest producer. I personally believe all these three things need to be really considered as a form of energy storage for terawatt hour, because it is easy to transport. For hydrogen, hydrogen is required at certain portions, but there is a worry always about what is that portion of this long duration energy can go into hydrogen. A small portion of it, definitely 5% or 10%. But there is also something that we should really look at. The cost of transporting hydrogen, which is always a question that people brings it to us. That's where we say that usage point of these metals should be separate, and then regeneration point of this metal back to the metal oxide, whichever used spent metal back to the metal, should be some other point where renewable is in excess, and we can just transport the metal bars as we like. If I have to put the entire scenario here, world is talking about electrically rechargeable batteries, and I'm going to talk about mechanically rechargeable batteries. Electrically rechargeable batteries are definitely good, but I don't think they're anywhere close to lithium-ion batteries or even lead-acid batteries today, both in terms of life or in terms of maturity. India needs its own specific solution for its problem. So what we kind of come out with is, let's say I have a metal air battery right here. Any metal, either it can be zinc or aluminum or iron. I discharge it here. I generate, let's say, iron oxide or aluminum oxide or whatever. I'm taking it to a separate location. Essentially, it's about shuttling the discharge product. Wherever there is a renewable excess or whatever, then we can literally convert them back to the metallic state using those excess renewables. It can be the local places. It can be done locally, or it can be done across the country, depending on where we want to really do this regeneration properties. This concept is kind of fairly old. It's like 1960s concept, but for Western countries, it might not be applicable. For India, this is a very nice thing that we should really step onto, considering the problem of long duration energy storage and considering the solutions that we have today. There is no other option apart from hydrogen that we can use today. Even assuming that 25 to 30% of that requirement is taken care by hydrogen, we have to really look into storing energy like 50 to 70% using metals. Like the way the logistics is created for the petroleum products, right? The logistics for the spent metal that has to be transported and regenerated metal transported back to the generation site can be generated. So it creates a new line of logistics options as well. And I really want to bring this. I think this audience is so elite audience. This might look like a bit a simple one, but as an academic, I kind of admire one thing. India has done something very, very significant in its own strengths. Let me start with the UPI. No other countries in the world is as strong as UPI. I personally believe we did not follow any Western country in this aspect. We believed UPI is good for India, and we did it. And I'm one of the biggest beneficiaries. Almost a lot of people like us are the biggest beneficiaries, right? Including the bus conductors now. Just go scan and get it done. Next thing is, we did not spend too much. I mean, cricket is our strength. People may hate some sport, may like some sport, but I believe India has focused on what it is good at rather than focusing just on football or soccer or whatever call, which Western countries are good at. But in India, I think we, from the ground up, we start playing cricket. And that's where I intentionally selected these pictures. So do in the space mission. India is like really good. Of course, that is in line with the rest of the world. So although we had failure, now we are at a great success, either with the Pragyan rover or Vikram lander, whatever that we have sent to the Mars. Can we bring this dominance in the energy storage in the form of solids is what all personally I believe like to see. I'd like to just give a comparative numbers delegates here. So if I have to take zinc air, today, let's say a charging efficiency for all three types of metal air batteries, either zinc or aluminum or iron, is around 70 to 95%, close to like best batteries can have close to 95 and above. So it's really a good thing. It's almost working close to the lithium ion when it was at the development stage. So it's very good. But now discharging Faraday efficiency is also very good, except for iron air today because of a lot of parasitic reactions. You see that the lowest number is coming around 45 and even lower, but these are all like kind of widely reported numbers. Now, although these numbers look quite nice, any companies in the world working on the metal air battery talk about the Faraday efficiency. I think we should not be biased or misguided by those numbers. Rather, I would go with the net efficiency, where voltage is also a parameter. If you look at these numbers, extreme guest here, I would need around roughly 2.2 to 2.8 volt to charge a zinc air to get an output of 1 to 1.2. So obviously I'm already losing half of the voltage value, meaning the power is going to go by one half, straight away gone, half gone. Now, let me look at the aluminum air. Aluminum air, in fact, aluminum requires even more energy to do the regeneration of aluminum oxide back to aluminum, somewhere between 3.5 and 4.2. And what I get at the end is roughly 1.2 volts, which is like roughly 3 to 4 times lower than the energy voltage that I applied. Assuming equal Faraday efficiency or 100% Faraday efficiency, what I could get as a turnaround efficiency is 33%. If I lose already 1/3 voltage while discharging compared to the charging voltage, then that's a huge loss. Iron air is very peculiar in that aspect that iron oxide converting to iron also requires higher voltages, but this is not shown at a very, very large scales. Although Form Energy in Form Energy in US, they are talking about some iron air extensively. At least our experience weren't showing these numbers with 2 to 3 volts. It's showing, in fact, larger. What we get at the end of it is like a 0.6 to 1.1 volt. Again, I'm talking about a turnaround efficiency of 20%. Meaning I'm putting 1 kilowatt hour of energy into it. I'm taking only 0.2 kilowatt hour back with iron air. Aluminum air, same story. Zinc air, in our lab, we proved at a large scale we can get up to 40% efficiency. So we have 40% round trip efficiency with the zinc air. Now, how exactly the whole thing works, unlike the conventional international scenario of electrically rechargeable zinc air or aluminum air or iron air, we propose two distinct solutions. One is for discharge only systems like a primary battery. Systems have to be very different. We have built in our lab very different systems that all the discharge products can be collected. We don't have to worry too much about it. We can take any metal, use it and then generate electricity out of it. The discharge products are sent to a centralized location where it can be reconverted back to the metals. So essentially, these are all metal oxides after discharge. Metal oxides can be converted back to metal by using excess renewable energy that we'll have to avoid the curtailment. Right, this is a simple concept of bifurcating or deconvoluting the generation from the utilization side. It's almost like hydrogen systems where water and H2 are the two major sources. Here, I'm talking about metal and metal oxide, which is analogous to the electrolyzer and fuel cell scenario in the hydrogen system. So, in fact, in our lab is fairly strong in zinc air batteries. It's not that we only like zinc air batteries. The others have technical issues which we are still working on, whereas zinc air has gone really well. We have surpassed watt-hour per liter storage capacity today. We have gone to 600 watt-hour per liter, competing with lithium-ion. But in terms of power, it is very low. This is good for stationary storage, definitely not for electric vehicle applications. In fact, we also have a company out of it. These are three of my PhD students. We have a company just 30 kilometers from here, a place called Ambattur in Chennai. The company's name is Tir Energy. And our guys are making 150 kilowatt hour battery module, which will be up by the end of this month or early June. So this company is working on storing energy in the form of zinc, which came out from our lab and the technology we developed in the lab. Last year they attracted $1 million investment. Now they are getting into much more than that as a second round of investment coming in after they have shown a scaled up product. So this one uses almost all the components from India. Literally 100% of component coming from India here. I would probably stay around 95. 5% is coming from elsewhere because of the supply chain issues. But it's not that the rest 5 cannot be made in India. It can definitely be made in India. But I would also like to caution that this technology is developing. Lithium-ion batteries, when they were in whatever they are in the early 2000s, that's where we are in the zinc air battery. Now we need another 5 years to really mature this technology. We also believe a lot of other players, industries as well as academics have to work on this technology so that we develop it so well because one institute, one lab, one company cannot really bring a fantastic product. I think a lot of people have to work on it. Sirs, if there is an opportunity that any of a company, they don't have to work with us. They can work with any institutes in the country. But if they could solve some of the core challenges, we can discuss and try to figure out what are the core challenges we are facing in these technologies. And if anyone could solve this problem, we would be very happy because at the end, we have to win. Staying alone will not bring a solution is something that we strongly believe in, which was also emphasized by Sahi Saab as well as Sonde sir in their talks. So we believe that we want to work with people. We want to bring a lot of experts together to really solve this problem. Even if they win, that's a win for us as well, right? And we also did iron oxide electrolysis, by the way. This is a project that we have done for Baker Hughes. People like still talking about milliampere hour thing. We worked on the second half of it. In iron air batteries, the fundamental problem is not the discharge. It's the charging portion of it. How to convert the iron oxide back to iron using electrochemical system, not going into the blast furnace or blast oxy furnaces or even DRIs. And that's where we do a direct iron ore conversion, essentially iron oxide conversion into elemental iron. And that we have done. In fact, we have a nice project with Baker Hughes. And we made a large device. When I say large, it's not at the industry large. For academics, it's slightly large. It's around like 100 centimeters square active area. We made at a very low temperature When I say low temperature for iron, it is 99 degrees Celsius. We converted the entire iron ore to pure elemental iron with 99.99% purity. So we are working on that regeneration portion of it. So meaning the concept that I proposed on generating the metal in one place, utilizing the metal in another place is going to be the future of the entire green electricity storage to avoid the curtailment. And that's where I'm going to really end with saying the green metals, why only hydrogen has to be green? Why not metals? Is one of the thoughts that we kind of brought up from our lab. And definitely that's what we would like to bring in. And honestly, if someone asked me like which one is going to be the winner today, zinc is definitely mature. But I personally believe we should also explore iron and aluminum. And in the periodic table, there are like a lot more elements you could see. I added molecule instead of an element here for a reason, because I also head a hydrogen center. I work on that as well. But these are all the elements that India ideally can focus on. We don't know who is going to be the winner, but definitely India has to invest in it. For some reasons, the Western world is not working on it, and we are also not working on it, which is slightly disappointing from an academic perspective, because we are the ones who should ideally be working on these things. I want to take another 60 seconds and wrap the whole story, sir. So I head a hydrogen center at IIT Madras, which is working on mid-TRL products, essentially power and mobility sector, because we are very strong in microgrids. We are also fairly strong in mobility segment. This is a project funded by Hyundai Motors. They funded me 100 crores. This is a joint project between state government, IIT Madras, and Hyundai. And this is working. This is a full-fledged R&D facility only for not tabletop. We are looking at like floor standing products to the products that going into the containers. This is the actual building coming up in our second campus, which I'm building from my project. So it's almost like 65,000 square feet ground area, built area of more than 1 lakh square feet, dedicated R&D piloting facility for hydrogen related products. Targeting power and mobility sector alone. In fact, I'm also putting up a refueling station, hydrogen refueling station R&D, because there are a lot of refueling stations in the country. But thing is that academics also should really contribute to it. So I've invested almost $2 million of my grant only on putting up R&D refueling station, so that I can understand what it takes to really refuel a vehicle with hydrogen. And every company has its own proprietary information. I want to really get the data, study different refueling conditions for different vehicle segment, and make the data open so that everyone knows what is happening or what is required to build. Because some of these information is very crucial for startups. It's very crucial for OEMs, because they don't have to wait to get all this data. So my center, the refueling station will be up by the end of this year. So the entire center will be fully operational. This is actual building layout, by the way. This is in construction now. Will be up by this time next year. I would love to invite all the esteemed delegates here. I'll get the contact details from Bajaj Sub, and then I'll share the invite. We would love to have you for our center's opening thing, and possibly contributing to some of the biggest R&D activities. Thank you so much for your time listening to me. Please apologize me if I've taken more time than given. Satish sir, back to you. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Professor Arvind Kumarji. It has been a really very interesting presentation you have made. Not only the iron air, but you have covered the whole gamut of battery energy storage in different metals, aluminium, sodium, all these things. I mean, in the chemistry, whichever is available, you have covered the whole gamut of this thing. We are really grateful to you for
Thank you.
having given us this detailed presentation and enriched our knowledge. So, with the permission of our chairman, Dr. H.L. Bajaj, may I now open the session for questions and answers. In fact, Dr. Sonde has already gone. It's only Professor Arvind who will be answering the questions, even on behalf of Dr. Sonde, if it is there. So I open the house for questions and answer session.
Thank you, Satish. Thank you.
Well, I think the the presentation have been so engrossing that everybody has absorbed what you have uh, related in your presentation. I have one small question. You
Please, sir.
see, as you are telling that the Hyundai has given you about 100 crores of rupees for setting up a center in
Yes.
the second this thing. Similarly, I find that the form energy, which is in the past about 4 to 5 years, they have been in the iron air batteries, and they have established a headquarter in US with manufacturing facilities at West Virginia. Is almost about 550,000 square feet of the facility. Recently, the Google has promised to pay about $1 billion to the Form Energy for the use of its 100-hour battery technology. The Form Energy is having the 100-hour. Normally, the lithium iron, it is from 2 to 4 hours, but they have researched and they have started the production facilities for these iron air batteries. And this is for their data center. Google has committed them. So they are going in a very big way, but perhaps maybe in the multi continents, they may be establishing their manufacturing facilities also, because Google has come down in a very big way in our Andhra Pradesh state also, where they are also setting up the data centers. Possibly that will be the thing. So how will you relate, particularly the iron air batteries, which has been developed by the Form Energy, and also now they are taking place in China also. And I also understand that in China, even the sodium iron batteries, they are using it for the transportation sector also in the cars. The BYD and the CATL cars, they are having this sort of batteries also. And China is in fact going in a very big way. Recently on 16th of April, their Chinese Academy of Sciences, I mean, they have unveiled a ultra cheap all iron flow battery for the RE storage. This was published, in the Chinese Academy of Sciences. They have reported, and Institute of Metal Research under the Chinese Academy of Sciences. So they have reported this development of a highly stable electrolyte capable of sustaining thousands of charge-discharge cycles with virtually no capacity loss. So this was published on 27th of April, 2026. It is a very recent publication. So I would like you to kindly comment on the Chinese relationship in the iron air batteries, in the iron flow batteries, how this will be useful. And even in our India also recently, when our Prime Minister, has interacted with the startup. It is also based in Chennai only, the ME Energy, this
Mine energy.
electric, but they are also in the iron air batteries, and they have developed, but for them, the rate is approximately up to 24 hours, 10 to 24 hours. It is not 100 hours as compared to the Form Energy of US. So world over now, iron energy, as a storage backup for the solar systems has come to a very long this thing, although your research has produced so many alternatives also. And as Dr. Sonde has said, that it is now for different times of the day, different seasons of the year, the different type of storage batteries. He has also elaborated on that. So would you like to comment on this, sir?
Yeah, definitely, Satish sir. Thank you for giving detailed information about the iron air battery and their presence across the world, and also you touched upon sodium ion battery as well. Sir, let me slightly put out some open discussion here on the technologies being developed. At least you've been closely following up with Form Energy as well as mine in Chennai. So none of these have really shown proper demonstration with such a large scale storage, honestly, sir. We have even tried to read their patents. And it is becoming like back in 2016 and 17 when I've joined IIT Madras, aluminum air was talked upon very similar way, and we know a few companies like including Finergy, which kind of worked along with IOCL, and they went quite big way in showing aluminum air is the next generation technology, and even from that time, I think our stand has been very clear. The turnaround efficiency either with aluminum or with iron is kind of fairly low. So that's going to really limit us from uh, doing the large scale implementation. When there are alternate solutions that are available, like either go with zinc, for example, or people would even go into the hydrogen space, considering the turnaround efficiency. Of course, upfront investment is pretty high today. The next thing is that none of these technology, I mean, we also reviewed heavily on the sodium ion battery, for example, which you have brought up. The IP space available for India is extremely low, sir, actually today. Whatever we do, it's been done elsewhere. It's kind of IP protected elsewhere. And our opportunity to really scale it up is becoming a bigger problem unless we do a tech transfer from elsewhere and do a scale up, like almost all the other technologies. In that IP space area, I would say zinc, aluminum, and iron ore definitely has a good chances compared to the sodium ion. But in terms of turnover efficiency and in terms of maturity, we still believe zinc is better compared to both aluminum as well as iron. Uh, and once I mean, somewhere I feel like academics have to be quite honest about putting out the information, sir, which we are not doing today. Uh, and that's where this hype is created once in a while. Unless there are some unreported numbers, either from mine or from Farm Energy, we believe this is definitely going as one round of hype and a lot of investments on a new technology in the hope that the problem gets solved. The same thing happened with solid state batteries as well, sir. We have a bigger company, QuantumScape, which has come out really big. Like $50 billion valuation, all of that happened, and all of a sudden one day it collapsed to literally nothing. Actually, sir, somewhere I feel like academics are also falling into the trap of this hype, not looking at the fundamental reality of their issues that they face in the real life situation. So this is I've given a very vague answer without saying which is better, or without even saying what would not be working well. But what we clearly know from the academic side is, even I would go to an extent to say, let's all work together and list out the problem that these battery technologies are facing today in the real life implementation, and let the industry and academics work together to solve that problem. Let's say given 2 years timeline. Once we solve it, and then we can make a decision at the end of the year 2, for example, to see which of these technologies would make a good decision, sir. So until then, the maturity wise, I mean, since they are at a fairly lower level, technology maturity level, it's difficult to make a judgment, sir.
But as far as Form Energy is concerned, they are in this business for more than 5 years now, and they have established, and they are, I mean, telling that it's the low cost, sort of capable of storing energy at less than 1/10 of the cost of the lithium iron battery technology. And there is no risk of thermal runaway, no heavy metals, it's highly recyclable, and it delivers 100 plus hours duration required to make the grid reliable. Then it also allows utility operators to meet power demand with stored energy over time horizons, previously not achievable. And this is sort of a modular concept. It does not rely on a specific geological conditions or enabling setting anywhere for the utility scale reach. And they have optimizes. They are telling optimizes other resources. I mean, particularly solar, lithium ion energy storage, or thermal generation to deliver the least cost. This is their experience. What they are telling. and it is also scalable. It is made from readily abundant materials to scale globally without reliance on geologically risky supply chains. So these are the claims which they have been making, and that is how perhaps the Google has committed about $1 billion. So anyway, this is only a sort of, you must be going through all these research papers, particularly China. I mean, they are doing it. They do not come up very much, I mean, in the global side unless they really develop it. But they are also developing it a lot, particularly the China Academy Science Institutes and other things. So I'm sure you are in touch with them. Thank you very much for this. I hope if there are no questions, answers to be in this session, I would request Dr. H.L. Bajaj to slightly give his comments, because I think Shahi Saab has to leave little early before closing. So I request Dr. H.L. Bajaj.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma.
Thank you, sir.
I think we all agree that India badly needs its capacity, and various technologies which are available, we need to deploy all of them. It's no question of either or. If lithium ion has more efficiency than the iron ore, for example, but we don't have lithium, so we don't want to depend upon China, which has a lot of lithium. And therefore, it is essential for us to work on all the technologies and master them and deploy them in our system. Whether it is flywheel, which can cater to the transient variations, or the hydrogen, which can give long watt hours to us, we need to deploy all of these. And of course, hydrogen can help us a lot. I think I need to thank both Dr. Sonde and Arvindji for your very elaborate, exhaustive presentation that you have shared with us. I'm sure it has been of immense interest to our participants. We thank you from the core of our heart.
Many thanks, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Bajaj. I would now come to the last, the vote of thanks before we conclude. So it is my proud privilege and honor to present the vote of thanks. First and foremost, I would like to thank Dr. Bajaj, the chairman of the Power Group, for selecting the current and most appropriate topic of storage batteries with focus on iron ore batteries. Thank you, sir, for your welcome address and setting the context in the most appropriate and befitting manner. I also express my special gratitude to Shri R.V. Shahi ji, President, India Energy Forum, and former Secretary, Power, Government of India, for delivering his presidential address and expressing his valuable and insightful views on the subject webinar. I would like to specially thank Dr. R.R. Sonde ji, Professor IIT Delhi, Abu Dhabi, for delivering his keynote address. Although it was delivered from an airport, but it was very valuable and insightful address. We are indeed grateful to Dr. Sonde for sharing his knowledge on the latest battery storage, especially focusing on iron ore battery development. I would also like specially thank Professor Arvind Kumar Chandran ji, Associate Professor of IIT Chennai and Head Hyundai WTWO Innovation Center, for his elaborate talk and presentation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Valuable views in your presentation. Your expertise and perspectives have enriched our discussions. and provided us with invaluable insights. Thank you for sharing your time and knowledge with us. I once again thank Dr. Bajaj for his concluding remarks. I would also like to thank all the IEF members, guest invitees who have participated in this webinar and their engagement. Finally, I would like to also acknowledge the contribution of Shri S.M. Mahajan, the Secretary General of IEF, and especially Shri S.S. Rawat ji for managing the success of this webinar. Thank you all once again for being part of this webinar. At the end, I am of the view that iron air battery storage could just possibly become a cornerstone for Indian grid transition. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Many thanks for the opportunity, Satish. Bajaj.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you also. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.